Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday to you on this November 13th, 2025. I got all of your stories for your rush hour ride to work. And on today's episode, we'll be discussing the biggest conspiracy of our time, the Epstein files. This week, there's been so much movement on getting closer to those files being released. Yesterday, bombshell letters were released by House Democrats in an oversight committee. Republicans responded by dumping some thousands of emails, all of which are being parsed through right now. But the big story of the day is that Representative-elect Grijalva from Arizona has officially been sworn in. This is a big deal after 7 weeks of waiting. She is sworn in on the 119th Congress, and she had a special election victory, and she is the deciding signature that will bring the Epstein files to a vote. Now, Trump has been reported to have been talking to people to try to get them to take their name off of that petition, that being Lauren Boebert. I'm going to share what the White House has to say in their official statement, and it's not looking good for them. Here's the moment we had our swearing in. A little late, but better than never.
You solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter, so help you God. Congratulations, you're now a member of the 119th.
And there it is, Mike Johnson laughing because they could have done this on an email. But he said, I wanted to do it when Congress was back open so we could have the pomp and circumstance and all that BS. When in fact, he was stalling through whatever tactics he had, kept the Congress from working, closed session, right? Sent them on this nice juicy vacation. Well, Grijalva didn't waste any time. Here she was minutes later saying, let's sign this thing.
That is why I will sign the discharge petition right now to release the Epstein files.
All right, good. So go make it happen. And I mean, why not? You know what I mean? Brian Tyler Cohen shared this from all the, there's a lot coming out with these emails, and it's going to take a little bit of time, I think, for everyone to cross-examine what they mean and really how people have contradicted themselves in the past. So here we have Ghislaine Maxwell lying about Donald Trump never going to Epstein's house, directly contradicted by her email correspondence with Epstein. She was rewarded for that lie with a transfer to a cushier prison. The cover-up is happening in plain sight. And again, she's in this club-fed prison where apparently she has a puppy. She's allowed, I don't know, a puppy in prison? What did that puppy ever do? Was that puppy part of the crimes and they've got to be behind bars? I don't know. Justice for that puppy. So either way, this is my general sentiment. Someone said if Democrats are on the Jeffrey Epstein list, lock them up and throw away the key. If Republicans are on the Jeffrey Epstein list, lock them up and throw away the key. And of course, everyone's going to get their chance to a fair trial. But yeah, this is the biggest conspiracy of our time. Reporting has come out from Drop Site News that Jeffrey Epstein had more than just financial ties to foreign governments. This is not just, was our president part of a pedo ring? This is more also about, protecting us from influence from other governments and things like that. It sounds like some crazy spy novel that you would have our own politicians, not making the best choices for our own people. But this is exactly what might be happening. They're scrambling, folks. Trump administration holds Situation Room meeting over House effort to force release of all of the DOJ's Epstein files. And they've had plenty of time to clean these files up, redact things. Hopefully there's enough hard copies floating around that the truth will get out there. But I want to share with you the press conference that happened with Caroline Leavitt. I mean, look, Caroline Leavitt's young. She's young. She's like 27 or something. She has a long life ahead of her. And if she is covering up for some pedo ring, if she's a part of this, I hope she faces the consequences along with everybody else. I'm going to play this entire clip of this briefing, but boy, does she not look good. Have a listen.
Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep. And this email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Giuffre. And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Giuffre maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her. And so I think it's a question worth asking the Democrat Party, and you should all go ask them after this briefing, of why they chose to redact that name of a victim who has already publicly made statements about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and is unfortunately no longer with us.
I gotta say, I mean, she's good at what she does, the deflecting that is. But if there is nothing to the story, why are they so hell-bent on keeping the Epstein files from getting out?
This administration has done more with respect to transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein than any administration ever. In fact, this administration, the Department of Justice, has turned over tens of thousands of documents to the American people. We are cooperating and showing support for the House Oversight Committee. That's part of the reason you are seeing these documents that were released today, because of the House Oversight Committee's and Republicans' efforts to get these out to the public. This administration also moved, the Department of Justice also moved to unseal grand jury testimony, which we know, unfortunately, a judge declined those requests. So this administration has done more than any, and it just shows how this is truly a manufactured hoax by the Democrat Party. For now, they're talking about it all of a sudden because President Trump is in the Oval Office. But when Joe Biden was sitting in there, the Democrats never brought this up. This wasn't an issue that they cared.
And my response to that is, well, it wasn't until the Department of Justice said case was closed that people realized there was more to the story. Before that, people just assumed, well, if there's anything in there, it'll come out. And then once they closed the case, everyone's like, whoa, 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 wait a second. There's got to be more to this story. There's supposedly hundreds of victims. There's got to be more to this story.
About, because they actually don't care about the victims in these cases. They care about trying to score political points against President Trump, as we have, of course, seen with this government shutdown. And this entire thing, again, it's not a coincidence to the American people at home. There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C. And it is not a coincidence that the Democrats leaked these emails to the fake news this morning ahead of Republicans reopening the government. This is another distraction campaign by the Democrat and the liberal media, and it's why I'm being asked questions about Epstein instead of the government reopening because of Republicans and President Trump.
But given your interest in transparency, Caroline, why are White House officials then meeting with Representative Boebert in an effort to try and get her to not sign this petition calling for the release of the files?
This is such an unbelievably great question. So Trump is literally trying to lobby for them to not have enough signatures to vote on releasing the Epstein files. Who cared if you asked the grand jury testimony to be released, knowing the judge was going to strike it down? Release the whole thing. That's what everybody wants. Who cares if the Democrats are scoring political points? None of that matters. What's in the documents?
Doesn't it show transparency that members of the Trump administration are willing to brief members of Congress whenever they please? Doesn't that show our level of transparency? Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns? That's a defining factor of transparency.
Oh, right. So I don't know if she's wearing those new Gavin Newsom issued knee pads, but boy, is she stretching on this one. She says, isn't it transparent that Donald Trump reached out to Lauren Boebert? Meanwhile, the reporting is Trump reached out to Boebert because he wanted her to take her name off the list that would make the Epstein files transparent. This is evil, what they're doing.
Having discussions with members of Congress about various issues, and I'm not going to detail conversations that took place in the Situation Room, in the press briefing room.
Yikes. All right, let's take a quick break, reset, and then we're going to hear TMZ's interview with a lawmaker who claims Trump is 100% part of this cover-up. This story next. Most holiday gifts end up in a drawer or the back of your closet or accidentally left at your cousin's house. Not this one. Mint Mobile is offering unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. That's their best deal of the year. It's the only holiday gift you'll actually use every single day. That's why I'm with Mint. You get a 3, 6, or 12-month unlimited plan for $15 a month. You can bring your current phone and number over to Mint, get high-speed data, unlimited text and talk on the nation's largest 5G network. So don't get them socks, get them premium wireless for $15 a month. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/TRH. That's mintmobile.com/TRH. Limited time offer. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $95 for 6, or $180 for a 12-month plan. Required $15 a month. Equivalent taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 35 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Well, it's clear to me, and I'm sure it's clear to you, that there's a cover-up happening. Here's Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury saying the obvious out loud. Have a listen.
In 2011, Epstein was telling Ghislaine Maxwell, this is the background where he had spent hours at Epstein's home where Virginia Giuffre was there, saying, there's a dog that didn't bark, and that dog is Donald Trump. To me, that means he knows something about shenanigans. The president knew something, or Donald Trump knew something that was untoward, and he hasn't talked about it yet, and it seems like he hasn't talked about it up to this point either. Are you seeing it the same way?
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that in that very same email, and it's a very short email, he ends the sentence by mentioning the police. So not only does it implicate Donald Trump in hanging out with the victims of Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking, hanging out at Epstein's house, not barking, but he specifically mentions the police. So the question is, what was Donald Trump doing at Epstein's house? Why was he hanging out with the sex trafficking victim? And what did he not bark to the police? Now, I also think it's important that the president is in apparently a tailspin in the White House today. We have reports that they are continuing their pressure campaign to try to get Republicans off of the discharge petition, and that this is just throwing fuel onto the fire because Donald Trump knows that he's in the Epstein files, and they are engaged in a massive cover-up right now, and they are trying to make Congress complicit in it.
And look, we've known that he was in the files. Like everyone knows, they lived in Mar-a-Lago. They're billionaires. Whatever. The question is to what extent, and will it be to an extent where his main supporters finally admit, geez, this is bad. And we're not there yet. I don't think many people have changed their mind. I'm seeing commentators out there that are, pro-Trump, and they are saying, yeah, no, this doesn't prove anything, even though there are lies. It's sketchy as hell. And I just think, anyone who is pushing against transparency is part of the problem here. They can redact the names of some of these victims and comb through it, but he's in them. Remember Elon Musk when he went on his tirade? He said Trump's in the Epstein files. We all know it. To what extent?
This is coincidence that these 2,300 pages of documents came out today on a day when the Speaker of the House is about to just hours from now, about to swear in the new Arizona Congresswoman Grijalva, who has said that she will be the deciding vote and she will sign the petition to release all of the Epstein files. Have you or any members of the committee had any conversations with her as of yet about these emails or about the files in general?
Yeah, I can't speak to the timing, though I will say that we subpoenaed the estate months ago, and the estate themselves has been picking and choosing what documents that they send. And I think we need to also be clear that the estate may have their own agenda, right? They are also individuals who are implicated in all of these activities as well. So why did they release these particular documents during this particular timing? I think there's obvious political implications. But yeah, Adelita Grijalva, who will be sworn in at 4 p.m. this afternoon, has already publicly committed to signing on to the discharge petition.
Yeah, my theory is this. Maybe they tried to release those 2,300 documents in an effort to say, see, we don't need to release all of them. And then that can be the out that some people need to take their name off of that petition. I don't think that's going to work. I think the audience is way too smart. They know that this kind of ruse has played on for too long. And that's why that's why no one's accepting anything but full transparency. So here's Representative Garcia. He was part of the House Democrats that leaked the first couple emails before the Republicans dumped the thousands more. And here's what he has to say.
Congressman, when did you get this information?
We actually just received all of these emails, with a total of about 23,000 documents, actually a few days ago, so last week. And we've been going through, our team, of course, through all of these very carefully over the last few days. We obviously released some today. We'll be releasing additional documents likely later today. The important thing here is that we know, and we've been demanding, that Donald Trump and the DOJ release the full Epstein files. In what's been released today, which obviously is some quite serious, I think, connections between what Donald Trump may have known. There's communication between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously making some claims about Donald Trump spending significant time, hours, with possibly one of the victims. There's also disturbing emails there about Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. The people can read for themselves. I think what's important right now is that we want to know why Donald Trump spent the entire campaign saying that he would release the files. And now that he's in the White House, there is a massive cover-up going on. The survivors deserve the truth.
Yeah, and I think this is really what it speaks to, right? Is that it's bigger than Donald Trump. It's like anyone who was involved that did anything wrong should be looked at, shamed, sent. The survivors should get that justice. If there's more of these Johns that were part of this terrible illegal ring, and whether that's Trump or, like I said, anyone else, the fact that why did Pam Bondi have these giant binders that were labeled Epstein files? They made a whole show out of having all of these documents, and then it just goes away.
So I'm a Democratic strategist who works on political campaigns, and in my previous post, I was talking about a breaking New York Times story from this morning that showed emails from Jeffrey Epstein alleging that Trump knew everything that was going on. And if you need evidence that Trump is freaked out, it's right here for you.
And that is a Truth Social post by Trump, where he says the Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects, even though the Democrats are polling quite high on the shutdown. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap. The Democrats cost our country $1.5 trillion with their recent antics of viciously closing our country, while at the same time putting many at risk, and they should pay a fair price. There should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else, and any Republicans involved should be focused only on opening up our country and fixing the massive damage caused by the Democrats. Wild stuff. Isn't this crazy, folks? Let's move on to a little bit of a different story here. Jack Schlossberg is the only grandson of JFK, and he just announced he'll be running for office. Have a listen to this.
I'm running for office because 250 years after our country was founded, we're in a crisis, unlike we've seen before. It's a serious moment. And it's a crisis on almost every single level. It's a cost of living crisis driven by the president's big, beautiful bill, which is historic cuts to social programs that make life more affordable for working families. Healthcare, education, childcare, all been cut. It's a corruption crisis. The president has made nearly $1 billion so far this year while in office. He's picking winners and losers in every industry from the Oval Office. That's cronyism. It's not capitalism. And the worst part is, none of it has to be this way. There's good news, because we can do something about it. And Democrats have to win back the House in the 2026 midterm elections. History is watching this moment.
I mean, he's not wrong in the sense that what are Republicans doing? They're letting the executive branch, Trump's branch, just, make whatever policies they want. These tariff policies that are done under this idea that it's an emergency. There's drugs flowing in from Canada. Not true. All of the different reasons why they've rattled the economy. And meanwhile, because the government was shut down, nobody really knows how bad the economy actually is. Although they are looking at payroll payroll data, which is showing that there are massive job losses happening. So again, you can't, just like the Epstein files, you can't hide this stuff for too long. So the truth will come out. Here's Kim Kardashian. She did not pass the bar exam, although I'm not here to shame her. I'm sure it's very challenging. I hear the California bar is the hardest one. But she said that 4 psychics had told her she would pass the bar. I guess she wants her money back.
I'm just letting you guys know that all of the psychics that we have met with and that we're obsessed with are all full of shit. They all collectively, maybe 4 of them, have told me I was going to pass the bar. So they're all full pathological liars. Don't believe anything they say.
Well, I could have said I told you so there. Now, will Kim Kardashian sue them? Well, she can't. She didn't pass the bar. And speaking of, I don't know, just funny moments here. Here's Donald Trump. He had Laura Ingraham on his, I guess, in his Oval Office. It's absolutely wild the amount of decor that he has added here. But just, for the morning episode, just to have some fun. Here she is saying, like, did you buy this stuff at Home Depot? And he goes, no, you can't get it at Home Depot. And then, of course, they show every single thing here was from Home Depot.
You can't imitate gold, real gold. There's no paint that imitates gold.
So these aren't like from Home Depot or something?
No, this is not Home Depot stuff.
And then everything there is just Home Depot purchased, polyurethane spray painted on, which again, who cares? I'd rather him be, putting Home Depot decals in the Oval Office and not spending all this time and energy developing a ballroom while people are in food lines, but whatever, I digress. Oh boy, this is going to piss my wife off. Tariffs are now affecting us where it hurts, our bellies. Tariffs on Italian pasta could threaten its sale in the United States. Have a listen.
Good morning. This one's going to hit home for a lot of people. If you're carbo loading or just plain love pasta, you might want to listen up. A whopping 107% tariff is on the way on Italian pastas, from spaghetti to ziti. That could mean higher prices for your family dinner if you can find those pastas at all.
When the stars make you drool, just like a pasta fazool, that's amore.
That amore might be on the rocks, as Americans could soon be saying arrivederci to their favorite Italian pastas. Imports from 13 Italian pasta brands, including favorites like Barilla and Rumo, are staring down a 107% tariff that could hit American shelves as early as January. The Commerce Department alleging that Italian pasta makers are dumping products on the U.S. at less than normal value. For shoppers, that added tax could mean paying twice as much for the real deal, if the Italian companies choose to sell their pastas here at all.
Oh boy. Well, that's a dire way to the end of the morning episode, but get your pasta while you can. There's going to be a gold rush for pasta at the grocery stores. All right, but either way, I'm sure by this afternoon we'll have lots of updates. It's really challenging actually to make the morning podcast because I'm operating off of the previous day's news, but there's still a lot of new information coming out. I'll have everything up to date this afternoon, not just regarding Epstein files, but all the other stories we've been covering. So appreciate you guys sticking around. We'll see you in this afternoon. Until then, I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.